It's always interesting. Whenever I enter a room, there's always someone asking for money. I can't understand. Let me tell you where we're at. Kat Smith, who leads for us on young people overall, is doing a consultation at the moment. We're also doing consultations on National Education Service as well. We don't know when the next general election is going to come. I can't tell. I think I work on the basis of the Tories will cling on to office as long as they can. I won't be party political, but the only thing that gives me hope that there might be elections is that the Conservatives hate each other more than they hate us. So anything could happen. So we're rapidly developing our ideas, rapidly developing our policies, and the report itself and the various submissions that are coming in as well have been extremely helpful. It's a straightforward situation, and it's happening in all our constituencies, and it's just anger making really, is that the youth service itself in most areas have been demolished. You've heard the figures, 3,500 youth workers gone, centres closed, the street work that's gone on has been removed in most areas as well. And I fear for the future if we don't get some investment very, very rapidly. I'll just tell you about my constituency. I represent a working class, multicultural constituency on the west of London. I've lived there 40 years. We used to have a youth service which was thriving, youth workers on the streets, youth centres that we developed, etc. Extremely popular, and I think we're extremely successful with engagement. And actually you could demonstrate that through some elements about engagement, certainly democratic engagement by young people. Young people used to turn up on a regular basis with my meetings to raise issues with me, but also you'd see it as a result of the success that was coming from individuals, but also community groups too. And also actually you could then see it in social engagement beyond that. And also I have to say too, you could see it in fairly low levels of crime and antisocial behaviour that we were having. Since the cuts have occurred, we're experiencing the same as every other area really, which is increases in antisocial behaviour and crime, and at the same time we're having more and more young people who are, I think, under extreme strain and stress. And in my constituency, we've gone to a 4-day open door policy now, where anyone can come in and talk about their problems. If I'll dare, I'll see them. If not, a member of staff will book an appointment or do it as much fun. We have got young people now turning up who I think are incredibly stressed out in their lives, what they're experiencing. And it is about basics now. It is absolutely about basics. I've got a housing crisis in my area where the overcrowding is phenomenal. So if you're a youngster and you're coming home and you're trapped in a bed and breakfast, or you're in a property, a temporary accommodation, relatively small, you don't have to do your homework in the bedroom, or there's other people there, naturally what's going to happen, you're going to be out on the streets. And when you're out on the streets, you become, unfortunately, your family can be replaced by a gang. And that's what's happening right there across most of our inner city areas and other areas as well. And it is about that housing problem that we've got in our particular areas. And then in addition to that, our schools are under so much pressure at the moment financially, and I pay tribute to the teaching profession. I don't know how they've survived in the way that they have, but all those elements where teachers would do that much more, they're trying to do all those clubs and after-school activities, etc. A lot of that is struggling at the moment, and therefore those activities that young people would get involved in post-school, some of them have gone to the wall, others are really, really stretched, and you find waiting lists and things like that. So I think what's happening at the moment is that a large number of young people under intense pressure. And then when they go to work, they're on wages, which are a pittance in many instances, and often exploited. What's the figure now? 36% of those people who are on zero-hour contracts are young people. And they're vulnerable in terms of exploitation on wage levels, but also vulnerable on intimidation and bullying at work as well. And I've been on picket line after picket line now of TGI Fridays, the McDonnell's workers, etc., who actually I think have been incredibly courageous, joining their union and then mobilising those campaigns. So then as people are getting that bit older and trying to get property themselves, there was a report from the Institute of Fiscal Studies that actually said the opportunity for young people to get housing now has virtually collapsed in many of the areas of our country. So there's just a huge agenda now that we need to start preparing the ground for. For me, for when austerity really ends, and my view is austerity only ends when a Labour government is elected. So we're putting our programme together now on the basis of the consultations that Kat is doing about the development of a youth service again. And the design of that youth service, there's a principle within the disability movement, which is nothing about us without us. So the design has to be by young people and youth workers themselves about what will work for this future, for existing and future generations. And that's the basis upon which we'll rebuild our youth service again. And it will be on the basis, and it's right to ask, it will be on the basis of a planned investment strategy that we have to mobilise now. It can't be one-offs here, little extras, as was said in the debate on Monday. And we want to be in a situation when we go back into the next election. We included elements within our manifesto last time, which we had to write in a rush because it was a snap election. We want to go in there with a comprehensive manifesto for young people and all aspects of their lives, both in terms of education, again, making sure education is free at all levels, and that's why we're scrapping tuition fees. In addition to education, their cultural and community and sports and all those other activities that they pursue, that they're properly accessing them, but also to have a youth service that is engaging young people and giving them the opportunity of access to activities and giving them the opportunity as well into decision making and democratic engagement as well. So that's where we're at the moment. So I welcome the discussions that are going on, and I'm grateful for today, and we'll get a report back for today and the reports that have happened. We will want to work on a cross-party basis, of course we will. Whilst whoever's in government, we want the best for everyone, and we've always done that in this particular field. But we have to be honest with each other. This will cost money. This will cost money, and we've got to be straight with people. We've got to cost it properly. And we're saying on our side now, as we develop the new manifesto, every policy has to have an implementation program, has to be costed, and I've got to find a funding source for it. And the funding source, the reality of the funding source, is a fair taxation system, and that's some of the debate that we'll have. And the reason I mention this is because actually people don't like paying tax, understandably. But when you actually explain to people where their taxes are going, actually they warm to it on the basis they want to live in a society where they're not stepping over people who are homeless, where they feel safe on the streets, they have access to an education. But also I think what we've got to do now is open up much more broadly the need for the youth service and provision for young people, because I think it will excite people, and I also think it will give them that courage, if you like, or a commitment to have and support a fair taxation system that we developed. Okay. Thanks a lot for inviting me along. I'm really grateful. Okay, and I literally, what comes out of today will be fed back to me, and we'll make sure, certainly from our party, we'll feed it through the direct policy making processes and consultations that we're taking place at every level, and obviously we'll do everything we can to work through the all-party group and also on a cross-party basis. This issue is too important to neglect, and my worry is in some areas we're on a tipping point where the services have almost gone completely, and you're seeing the social ramifications of that amongst young people, and in some ways what we're doing is undermining their life chances for the future, and we can't allow that to happen in the 6th richest country in the world. Thanks a lot.